I'm Narelle Todd.
And I'm Essie Susan Smith.
We are the self-publishing author and marketing duo that has sold over 2 million books. But we didn't start out knowing how to sell books. Fast forward past many failed promotions and a lot of lessons learned, you will see how we went from self-publishing newbies to hitting the New York Times bestsellers list and making the USA Today bestsellers list 19 times and counting. We created the Get My Book Out There podcast to give you simple yet effective marketing strategies to increase readership and book sales so you know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, as well as some tips for staying mentally and physically well.
Let's get started.
And today we want to talk to you about reconnecting with an email list that you may have neglected or not written to for a couple of months or even up to a year. So how do you reconnect? How do you re-engage with that list? And I guess firstly, you may very well go, it's been too long, so I'm not even going to bother. So just first up, it's way better for you from a cost perspective and from a time perspective to actually try and re-engage with that list. So let's just make that assumption first off, that we do actually want to try and re-engage with that list rather than just delete everybody on that list and move along. So we've got 5 tips for you today in how to re-engage with a list that maybe, you have neglected for a little while.
And just think of it as reconnecting with old friends.
Yes.
So everybody has been busy with life and there's always things coming up. So when they hear from you again, don't think that they're going to be upset. Just think that they're going to be excited to hear from you.
Absolutely. And that's part of the first tip, which is you can acknowledge that you've been absent, but don't go on about it. So we don't need paragraphs and paragraphs or a detailed account of why you haven't been around. Just a quick acknowledgement, I'm sorry I haven't been here, or, I'm back, or something like that. You don't need the detail unless it relates to your story. Then you could perhaps put in some details. So let's say if you wrote baby books, or you wrote billionaire romances or something, and you met a billionaire and you're in a romance, or you've had a baby, if it relates back into your books, you can touch on what's happening for you in life. But by and large, people just want to know that you're back. They don't care. As you say, Susan, everybody has life. That happens.
And again, people get excited when they haven't heard from somebody in a long time. And the person contacts them and says, hey, I'm still on Earth. I haven't quite made it to and I'm going to start laughing because that's one of the things that I did for an April Fool's joke one year is I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be writing anymore because the minions are just about ready to leave the galaxy. Well, everybody heard I'm not going to be writing anymore. And I got hundreds of messages and people, were crying and upset and this, that, and the other because they thought I wasn't going to be there anymore. And so when they realized that, hey, they were very excited. So even if you've been gone for a little while, blame it on the minions if you have to, but let them know I'm back.
Absolutely. So just acknowledge it. Don't stress about it. You don't need to give detail. Just acknowledge and that you're back. Which then leads into tip number 2, which is come with something like an enticing offer, a bit of a freebie. So what you want to do is for the initial couple of contacts that you're going to make with your list, this is not about you selling anything or promoting anything. It really is coming and saying, here's a gift. And I would suggest that you write, say, a 2,000 word, we call it a day in the life of. So take some characters from your previous books, your best loved or your most loved characters, and just write about where they're at now. So if you're writing romance, just show a day in their life of them being in love and being happy and just doing things that couples do.
It's kind of like a welcome back gift. When people move in to the neighborhood or something and you bring them a welcome gift, and this is what you're doing is you're reconnecting with them and you're saying, listen, I'm giving you this. You may not quite remember me or my writing, but I'm giving you this as a welcome back. Hi, I'm here type thing. And people will read it and then they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that they're back. And then that reconnection happens again.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so important for you to establish again the reason why those people originally subscribed to your newsletter. There was something about your writing or something about your stories that initially attracted them to come to your newsletter. So you want to re-engage with that. And the best way to do that is show them a bit of a sample of your writing. So don't just make it a sample, actually have it from an existing series or an existing book so that they, remember that. And that then helps them also stay on your list.
And I love the little snapshots when you do the day in the life of, because they don't have to be real long stories. In fact, they shouldn't be real long stories. And you only cover like a day or, 2 or 3 days max in that. But it's just that little bitty window of that characters or that world. And, I often love, like you said, to pick characters that I know that people will remember. And sometimes I'll include a character that I may have had as a secondary character and bring them and have them where they connect. And then they really want to know their story. So it gives me a chance to also explore a little bit deeper into those lives or into that family or what's happened to this family since I last wrote their story.
Yes. Yeah. And I just love, as a reader, I love when I get to see a bit further down the track, as to how they're going. And it keeps all that feel good and that, the very reason you read the book and you loved the book and, you wanted to connect with the author, it kind of brings all that back up again. You go, oh, I want to go and read that story again. And so yes, you go do a reread, which turns into a reread of the whole series, which then turns, it can be bad for sleep.
So tip number 3.
Yes.
Is very important.
It is. And tip number 3 is to write to your subscribers every 2 weeks, and you want to do that 3 times. So in effect, over 6 weeks, you're going to make contact with them 3 times. And the reason for that is that this is just you reaching out. It's giving them an opportunity to stay on your list or not, but it's also a chance for you just to reconnect. They might miss the first email, life is busy for everybody. So they'll see the second one and they'll see the third. And from there, which feeds into our tip number 4, is you then, after you've done your 3 kind of warm-up emails, you then just go into your regular newsletter cycle. So it's important to actually, from now, you're going to be doing your newsletter regularly. So
that's what I was going to say. Be very consistent moving on from here on out.
Absolutely. So you need to make sure that you are prepared to create that consistency with your emails going forward. So if it's once a month, then that's what it becomes. But just this initial period, it's just every 2 weeks, 3 times.
And during that period, let them know by the 3rd newsletter, I would let them know that, they'll start receiving a monthly newsletter.
Yes.
And I would phrase it like, I just wanted to make sure, let you guys know that I'm still here. And from now on, don't worry, I'm just going to be doing my monthly newsletter like I was before.
Yes. So those first 3 emails, there's no selling. You're not, picking your books or anything like that. It's just this free gift that you're doing. And if you had set up a, like maybe a 3 or a 5 email engagement when somebody comes onto your list, if you had that going before, you can use those same kind of emails where it's really, you're just welcoming people. You might give them a little bit of info about yourself. You might want to talk about your gift and those characters, what makes you excited about writing, things that that your readers would be interested in. So it's just really short little emails, these first 3. It's always about including your gift because you want to get them back into reconnecting with why they came onto your list. Then you move into your regular monthly newsletter. And that obviously you can then start, selling your books, promoting your books in there and bringing them along in your regular newsletter. Just remember that you do need to be regular with your newsletter from now on. You don't want to disappear again because you really only get one shot at this before people will go, she's just a bit too flaky for me.
Up and down, up and down. People don't like that inconsistency.
Yes, yes. You don't want to be known as flaky. That will, yeah, turn readers off you more than anything. So if you can do one a month, commit to that, then go for it.
And so this will lead to basically tip number 5. What
Yes.
happens if they don't want to hear from you?
Exactly. And look, I think the most exciting thing about this re-engagement strategy is when people unsubscribe. Let me just explain that. So one of the fears that we have going in when we're trying to reconnect with our list is that people don't want to hear from us, or people have forgotten who we are. You know, they don't want to be on my list. They're going to unsubscribe. So instead of having that fear hold you back, I say just embrace the fact that people are going to unsubscribe. That's a given. Whether you're sending a regular newsletter or this is a re-engagement, people are going to be unsubscribing anyway. That's just fact. And you actually want to celebrate the fact that they're unsubscribing, because that's actually cleaning up your list for you organically. And it's actually removing people who don't want to hear from you. And that in turn actually makes your statistics then way better. And, you know, you can start to engage with those people who stay on your list.
And who are going to want to buy your story.
Yes.
You know, who are going to be proactive in sharing your books with other people. If they don't want to be there, let them unsubscribe. Clean up your list so that you don't have to. Your statistics will look better, and you'll have more active engagement. And people that are wanting to purchase your book, who are promoting your book with you, who are telling other people about them. And the fact that, you know, you've got this free offer and you're reconnecting, it means that you are going to get more and more people subscribing. So it's kind of like fresh blood coming in, you know, keeping everything fresh and clean.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So see unsubscribes as a good thing. And I know, you know, every email provider has a bit down in the footer about unsubscribing, but in these first 3 emails, so your re-engagement emails, actually put in the body of your email, are we breaking up? Is this it for us? You know, make light of it, but actually make it where it's obvious, where people can unsubscribe if they can't remember why they like to. Maybe they've moved on and they're reading a different kind of genre now, or, you know, whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. You just need to make that obvious in your actual body of your email. Let them unsubscribe, be okay with that, because you know that you're getting a really good list. A small list who's actually engaged with you is way better than having numbers, but that number doesn't mean anything because they're not actually interested, or they're not opening, or they're not engaged.
I'm
just
so
keep
glad
in
that
mind,
you pointed that out.
yeah, vanity numbers are so big, and, you know, authors will often boast about, I have this many people, and when you start to drill down, yeah, you've got this many people on your list, but what's your open rate? Oh, well, yeah, you know, they kind of they slink off. So don't get caught up in the vanity of the number itself. A smaller list that's really engaged is way more powerful than a big list that doesn't open.
So that sounds like a great 5 tips today.
Yes, we went 5 today on this one. Re-engagement is so important. So look, just going back to our assumption at the beginning, we have gone with the assumption that it's better for you to try and re-engage with a list that you may have neglected, rather than just forget about them or ignore them, or, you know, delete that list. Just try it. You know, there's no harm in trying, but if you were to delete them, that's definite work and time and money that you've invested in building that list that you're just destroying. So, you know, why not try?
Something else, you know, you pointing this out is, you know, if you know somebody and then they just kind of say, well, I haven't talked to you in a long time, so I'm coming back out, but I'm going to be where you're at, but I'm not going to even acknowledge you. It hurts your feelings. Yeah. It makes you feel like I didn't mean anything to them. So by just deleting your list, not only are you throwing all that time and effort and money away, but you're in essential saying, I didn't care about you enough to say, hey, I'm back. I want to reconnect. So think of it like a friendship. You know, like going back to a high school reunion. Oh, just even thinking high school. Everybody gets the drift. It's like going back and meeting old friends that you haven't seen in a long time. And if you don't talk to them or even acknowledge them, then it would hurt their feelings. And readers are the same way, because if they've signed up, they know about you, they remember you, and let them know, hey, I still remember you too.
Excellent point. Love that one. Okay, everyone. So get out there. If you have been neglecting your email list, I want you to commit to sending out a newsletter regularly. But before you do that, just start an engagement strategy with your existing list. Just get them back on board, reminding them why they signed up to hear from you in the first place, and then get regular with your newsletters.
And remember, today's the day to make it happen.
Absolutely. See ya.
See ya.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. We've got way more information we want to share with you to increase your book sales. So please come and join me at facebook.com. Get my book out there.